Every diagram of the Sinaloa Cartel you've ever seen is wrong. Not because the ranks are wrong. The ranks are real. The lookouts, the gunmen, the Plaza bosses, the Capos. Any channel can show you that pyramid. It's wrong because it's missing a column. Because at every single level of that pyramid, every one, there is a second person standing next to the cartel member. That person wears a uniform, or holds an office, or runs a bank. They draw government salary or shareholder dividends. And without them, the rank next to them doesn't function. The lookout has a police radio. The gunman has an unsolved case file. The Plaza boss has a commander's phone number. And at the very top of the chart, above the capos, above the boss himself, sits a rank that isn't in the cartel at all. By the end of this video, you'll see the full chart. Both columns, bottom to top. Let's climb. Every empire starts with eyes. The Halcón, the Falcon, is the bottom rung. Often a teenager, sometimes a taxi driver, a street vendor, a kid on a motorbike with a cheap radio and one job: watch. Report the army convoy entering the city. Report the strange truck. Report the rival face. The pay is small, reported at a few $100s a month. But look at who's taking it. In Sinaloa's poorest neighborhoods, that's real money for a 15-year-old, and the cartel knows it. The Halcón rank is also the recruitment funnel, the place the organization watches its own watchers and picks which kids move up. The job sounds passive. It isn't. Halcón networks are the cartel's radar, and when Culiacan goes into one of its convulsions, it's the Halcóns who let gunmen assemble blockades faster than the army can move. In 2019, when the government briefly captured Ovidio Guzman, the city was shut down by coordinated blockades within an hour. That speed is not possible without a permanent citywide sensor grid. Now the second column. Who protects the lookout? Here's the uncomfortable answer. At this level, the protector and the cartel member are often the same person. Municipal police, the lowest, worst paid layer of Mexican law enforcement, have served as Halcón networks themselves, radioing movements to the cartel from inside their patrol cars. Mexico's most infamous case made the template undeniable. In Iguala, in 2014, municipal police didn't just look away from organized crime. They detained 43 students and handed them to a cartel. Different state, different cartel, same lesson. At street level, the uniform doesn't watch the cartel. The uniform watches for it. One rung up from watching is doing. The rank everyone thinks they understand, and the one the corridos lie about most. Sicarios are the cartel's soldiers, mostly young men, often recruited in their teens, sometimes with military or police training, mostly without. The glamour version has gold pistols. The documented version has disposable kids, paid modestly, armed heavily, and replaced constantly. In the Culiacan War that started in 2024, they're the rank that has died in the hundreds. The Sicario's job security is his cell. He operates in small crews under a cell leader, kept deliberately ignorant of everything above him. He can't betray what he's never seen. And he's on a payroll, literally. Insiders call it La Nómina, the weekly envelope that pays gunmen, lookouts, and the friendly officials alike. One ledger for both columns of our chart. The cartel doesn't think of bribes and wages as different categories. It's all headcount. Who protects the gunman? Not a person, a statistic. In Mexico, by most estimates, more than 9 out of 10 murders are never solved. That number is the Sicario's real armor. He doesn't need a corrupt commander to intervene in his case. He needs the case to sit in a pile with thousands of others, uninvestigated, until everyone involved is dead or gone. Impunity at that scale isn't a failure of the system. Sustained for decades, it is the system. The gunman's protector is every investigation that was never meant to conclude. But somebody has to command the crews. And that rank has a familiar face. This is the rank of the famous ones. The commander of the armed wing. The man who runs the crews, plans the operations, and answers directly to the leadership. Sinaloa's most famous holder of this rank was El Chino Antrax, co-founder of Los Antrax, the elite unit that protected El Mayo Zambada himself. Skull insignia, military weapons, corridos with tens of millions of plays. It's the highest rank that still pulls triggers, and the first rank where you're valuable enough to be betrayed. Chino Antrax ended up tortured and dead on a dirt road outside Culiacan, in a murder that has never been solved. Who protects the enforcer commander? This is the rank where protection turns personal. The enforcer commander is the cartel's interface with local police leadership. The level where, according to years of court testimony, police commanders sell the two things every armed wing needs: warnings and windows. A warning when an operation is coming. A window when one of theirs is caught. The arrest that goes wrong, the suspect released on a technicality, the checkpoint that happens to dissolve. At El Chapo's trial in Brooklyn, witnesses described payments flowing to police commanders precisely so operations would fail at the moment of execution. Above the guns sits the rank that runs an actual territory. The Plaza boss is a franchise owner. A plaza is a territory, a city, a corridor, a border crossing, and the man who holds it controls everything illegal that moves through it. Drugs, yes, but also the piso, the tax every other criminal pays for permission to operate. Migrant smuggling, fuel theft, extortion, all of it pays rent to the plaza. This is the first rank with a real budget, and the budget has two lines: guns below, bribes above. A plaza boss who only spends on guns loses his plaza to the army. A plaza boss who only spends on bribes loses it to rivals. The job is the balance. Who protects the plaza boss? The state layer, not the street cop. The state police commander, the state investigator, the officials who decide where operations happen and, more importantly, where they never happen. Trial testimony from cartel insiders has described scheduled payments to state-level commanders in Sinaloa the way a legitimate business schedules payroll. The plaza boss's protection isn't an event. It's a subscription. And every subscription needs someone to move the money. Which brings us to the ranks nobody makes corridos about. Here's a truth the shoot-'em-up documentaries skip. The Sinaloa Cartel is, before anything else, a logistics company. Tons of product crossing oceans and borders on schedule for decades. Somebody has to run that. The logistics coordinator charters the boats, buys the trucking companies, builds the tunnels, packs the produce shipments, and knows which crossing is soft on which shift. No gun, often no criminal record. Frequently, a legitimate businessman with a real company that really ships real goods. Plus, something extra. This is the rank that gave the cartel its signature inventions. The first cross-border drug tunnel ever discovered ran from Agua Prieta into Arizona in 1990. A Sinaloa project, hidden under a pool table and the model for dozens since. Chile shipments with false floors, cucumber trucks, fishing boats, and, eventually, submarines. Every one of those is a logistics coordinator's resume line. Who protects the mover? Customs, port officials, inspectors, the entire checkpoint layer of the state, bought one waved-through truck at a time. The machinery is fully documented. Officials approving cargo manifests they know are false at industrial scale for years. The same doors that let smuggled fuel through can let cocaine through in both directions. The logistics coordinator doesn't defeat the border. He rents it. And once the product becomes money, the money needs its own rank. The least filmed, most important rank in the cartel. The financial operator turns truckloads of American cash into ranches, apartment towers, gas stations, dairy companies. El Mayo's money famously flowed through a Culiacan milk brand that sat on every supermarket shelf in Sinaloa. The money man's tools are exchange houses, front companies, invoices, and patience. His job is to make the money boring. Boring money survives. Who protects the money man? This is where the second column leaves Mexico entirely, because the documented answer includes one of the largest banks on earth. In 2012, HSBC admitted that lax controls had allowed hundreds of millions of dollars of Sinaloa Cartel money to move through its accounts. Cartel operators reportedly built cash boxes shaped to fit the teller windows. The bank paid a fine of over $1 billion. No banker went to prison. And for an institution that size, the fine amounted to a few weeks of profit. A rounding error dressed as a reckoning. Read that again. The cartel's gunmen die in the hundreds, and the institution that moved its money wrote a check and kept its charter. The money man's protector wears a suit, works in a tower, and has never seen Culiacan. Now the air gets thin. The Capo runs an entire wing of the organization. A region, a product line, a faction. This is the tier of the Chapitos, the sons of El Chapo, who built the fentanyl operation that changed the American overdose crisis. It's the tier of family names, of faces on DEA reward posters, of men whose arrests shut down cities. The Capo's daily work isn't violence, it's politics. Managing Plaza bosses, arbitrating disputes, deciding when a war is worth it. The Capo is where the cartel stops being a gang account and becomes a government that doesn't admit it's one. Who protects the Capo? Federal power. This is the level where testimony stops naming police commanders and starts naming the people who run the police. At El Chapo's trial, a cartel insider testified under oath in an American courtroom to personally delivering millions of dollars in bribes to Mexico's federal security leadership. Protection at this altitude isn't a warning before a raid. It's the power to decide which cartel the entire federal apparatus fights and which one it quietly leaves alone. A capo with that protection isn't evading the state. He's a client of it. And once, in public, on live television, the protection ran even deeper than a bribe. October 2019, Mexican forces captured Ovidio Guzman in Culiacan. Within hours, the cartel's blockades and firepower brought the city to its knees. And the president of Mexico ordered the Capo released. Not corruption, capitulation. The state caught a Capo, weighed the cost, and gave him back. No payment required. That day, the second column of our chart didn't need to be bought. It surrendered on its own, which leaves the top of the cartel's chart, and then the row above it. The boss, El Chapo, El Mayo, the rank with the myth. Here's what the myth misses. The boss's real job is not commanding violence. It's holding the alliances. The Sinaloa Cartel was never one company. It's a federation of families and factions, and the boss is the man all of them trust to arbitrate. That's why El Mayo mattered more than El Chapo, and why his kidnapping in 2024 didn't decapitate the cartel. It split it. Remove a boss, the structure survives. Remove the trust, and Culiacan burns. It's been burning ever since. Who protects the boss? Everyone below on the second column, compounded. 50 years of paid police, rented borders, subscribed commanders, and boring money. When El Mayo finally stood in a Brooklyn courtroom, he summarized his own protection in one sentence. His people paid police, military commanders, and politicians so the cartel could operate freely. 5 decades, 0 days, in a Mexican prison. That's not luck. That's the second column doing its job. But I told you the chart has one more row. And it's not in the cartel. Genaro Garcia Luna was not a cartel member. He was the architect of Mexico's war on the cartels, head of the Federal Investigative Agency, then Secretary of Public Security, the man who built and commanded the federal police. He stood next to presidents. He met American officials. He designed the drug war. And here's the detail that should keep American viewers up at night. Washington loved him. Through the biggest years of the drug war, U.S. agencies treated Garcia Luna as their essential partner in Mexico. The reformer, the professional, the man you could work with. The second column doesn't just fool the public. It fooled the DEA's own diplomacy for a decade. In 2023, a jury in Brooklyn convicted him of taking millions of dollars in bribes from the Sinaloa Cartel. The same testimony trail we followed at Rank 7, arriving at its destination. In 2024, he was sentenced to 38 years in an American federal prison. The man in charge of fighting the Sinaloa Cartel was, per that verdict, working for it. Put him on the chart, not beside a rank, above all of them. Because every protector we've climbed past, the police radio, the unsolved case, the commander's warning, the state subscription, the rented border, the bank, all of it works better when the man at the top of the security state is on the payroll too. That's the real org chart of the Sinaloa Cartel. 2 columns, bottom to top. 1 column you can go to war with. The other column is the reason the war never ends. So the next time someone shows you the pyramid, the Halcón at the bottom, the Jefe at the top, remember, it's only half the picture. The cartel's most important employees never joined the cartel. They joined the police, the customs service, the bank, the cabinet. Cut off the head, and the cartel grows another. It always has, because the body was never the cartel.